Hey guys, Tinker Tailor here today, bringing you another A to Z challenge video. I still don't know whether or not I should be calling these build challenge videos or just the challenge video, because while yes, it is a build video, it's a part of a challenge that is not just building anymore, now that I opened it up to Cass as well. So if you don't know about the challenge, it is a 26 either day or week, depending on if you're you or you're me, challenge where each day or week you get a new letter and you do a build or cast creation based on that letter. So if you are me, it's done in 26 days, but if you are you, then it is done in 26 weeks. So yeah, if you don't want to stress about doing all these builds and whatnot over such a short period of time, do not worry, it's over a week. And if you want, you don't have to participate in all of them. If you just want to do a couple here or there, absolutely feel free to. And with the builds and casts, they don't have to be super detailed. If for building, if you want to do a room, you can do a room. If you want to do a build but make it a really small build, you can do that. If you want to, for casts, only do one outfit, absolutely. There's no rules about how big or small or how much time and effort you put into all of these things. The only rule I have is no CC, which, as you can see, I have clearly disregarded. But that's because I don't really get to use CC all that often, and I want to. That's honestly, that's the only reason why, is I just simply want to. So yeah, that's why I use CC, but I don't use CC in any other part of my builds. So this challenge I do, but yeah, other places I don't, because I don't know. I like the idea of having builds that everybody can access, everybody can reach, everybody can use if they want, and if they don't have to, but they've got a choice. You guys have a choice whether or not you want to play in these builds, use these builds and whatnot, and when I use CC, I kind of take that choice away from a lot of you. So yeah, it's kind of, this challenge is a good place for me to use it because it's only a month long, and then when I'm doing the Pokemon build series, they are all CC free, and in fact, some of them are pack restricted. So again, if you only have a handful of packs or kits or whatever, that is a great place to have a look around for builds, because yeah, like I said, I really restrict what I do and don't use, so that if people want to, they can play with these builds, but if they don't, again, it's having that choice. I'm not saying that I'm building builds that are fantastic and amazing and everyone's going to want to use them, but they are builds that if you want to, you can. So yeah, that's really the long and the short of it. But yeah, if you are interested in the A to Z challenge, I run it from July to December every year, and there will be some relevant hashtag that I will share with you guys when I know what it is. That's the hashtag you upload for that week, and that's how you enter. And it'll be one for CAS, one for building, so that they are a little bit separate, because CAS and building are two very, very different things. I don't think I could be very good at CAS. It's not really my strong suit. I'm not very confident or comfortable with clothing and facial features and stuff like that. If you guys saw what I wore in real life, 90% of it is just me picking out whatever's in my closet and being like, yep, that's cool, I'll wear that, and hoping for the best. I mean, right now I am wearing a dress as a t-shirt and just a pair of shorts. It's like nothing special or fantastic, and the only reason why I keep this dress, because it is incredibly short, is because the fact that it can be used as a shirt, and that's pretty much it. I don't really wear dresses all that often, but in the summer I do. I say I don't wear them all that often, but in summer I definitely do wear dresses, because they are a lot more comfortable and free and light. I find them to be much lighter material than t-shirts and stuff like that. But yeah, once we move towards winter, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm going to be wearing tracky dacks, sweatpants, whatever you want to call them. Actually, I had a conversation the other day with Fresh Pick, who is a fellow Aussie Sims person, who does a lot of, I was going to say Sims streamer, but yeah, he is a Sims streamer. But yeah, when I said I was wearing some sweatpants, he was like, is that what you call them? And I realized I kind of call those type of pants, depending on what material they are, will depend on what I call them. So if I'm wearing cotton type pants, they are sweatpants. But if I am wearing more like sport material long pants, then they are tracky dacks, because of the material. And I have no idea why I do that. I have no idea where it came from. I have no idea if that's an actual thing that people do. So yeah, let me know, especially Aussies, let me know down below, does the fabric matter? Do you guys call tracky dacks no matter what type of material they are? Or do you call them like I do, like depending on the material? Or is there a different, I can't think of the word, like a different reasoning behind what you call what you call? Because yeah, I don't know, that was something that was kind of like, I've never really thought about that before. Then there's also sometimes where instinctively I will go to say things that are the way that North America says things. You know, a lot of people in the US and Canada might use these terms, but in Australia we definitely don't. And I think that's just because, yeah, hanging out on stream, a lot of the people I hang out with are from, most of them are from the US. The US and Australia are probably the two most popular places that people are from. And yeah, I don't know, it's kind of like, I just fall into the habit of using US terminology, and I'm not sure I want to keep doing that. I like Aussie terminology. It's what I've grown up with, what I'm used to. So yeah, if you guys ever notice that I do use a lot of North American terminology, it's probably, yeah, just because of that. But I will correct myself. I find myself doing that quite a lot, being like, actually, why am I, that's not right. So yeah, that's, like, okay, for example, one of them is, in Australia, we call potato gems because that's just what they are. But in America, they call them tater tots. And I have found myself starting to use the word tater tot, and I'm not a huge fan of that. They're potato gems. I don't know why I'm calling them something different. Like, that's not what they're called. So yeah, definitely gonna be paying a lot more attention to what I do and what I say, because sometimes I confuse myself, and sometimes I confuse the people I live with, and my roommates are all like, what on earth are you talking about? And then I realize, oh, I'm using the wrong terminology. Cool, fantastic. And I know some of you might be like, it's not the wrong terminology, that's what they're called, but for me, in this country, it is the wrong terminology. You know, they're tracky dacks, they're not sweatpants, and they're potato gems, not tater tots. I nearly said that the other way around. But also at the same time, one of the people I've made friends with over on Twitch, we jokingly have arguments over how aluminium is said, because the way I just said it, that is how it's said here. And I found out why, a while back, why in the US that there are a lot of vowels missing from words, mostly vowels, but yeah, why a lot of words in America are shorter, and it is because during the time in which words used to be printed on these giant printing presses and it was very expensive, the news companies, the printing companies decided that it would be cheaper to print the words with one less vowel in it, one less letter in it. And yeah, it was cheaper. It was much, much cheaper, and you could fit more words on the page by removing certain letters. And it became, I don't want to say universal, but it became the norm within the States. I don't know about other countries that have adopted those words that are shorter. I don't know if it's the same thing. I don't know if it's because of miscommunication, mistranslation, or anything like that. I don't know if it's because the same reason. I don't know, but I know specifically within the US that is why those letters have changed, which I find super interesting because, you know, jokingly, I do have these little playful arguments with American friends being like, you know, it's spelled like this or it's said like that. But knowing the reason behind it, it's kind of fascinating. Like, yes, that is the truth that you guys use no vowels and no, like, colour doesn't have a U in it, but for us it does. But to know that where the word started, it did have that U in it, it kind of makes me feel like, well, yeah, that is how you spelled it. You guys just chose to get rid of it. But at the same time, I also recognize, like, yeah, different countries have different ways of spelling things and saying things and whatnot. So, yeah, you know, whatever. But anyway, yeah, today's build is a movie theatre. And now I know that technically for this challenge, like, it could have just been theatre and BT and be over and done with. But not all theatres show movies, so I feel like I can be not getting away with it there, but yeah, the movies are shown in movie theatres, and sometimes theatres don't just do movies, or they only do movies, or they do just live action acting type stuff. So yeah, I feel like I can get away with saying movie theatre here, even though in Australia you don't say, oh, let's go to the movie theatres, you just say, let's go to the movies, which again kind of reinforces that in me. And I know that in some places they're called the cinemas, and in fact, you know, a lot of the places here are actually called like this or that cinema. There's not actually any of them that I think is called a movie theatre, but yeah, hey, do you guys want to go see a movie? Do you want to go to the movies? That's kind of what I'm used to. But if someone were to say, where do you watch movies? Like, what is the establishment in which you watch movies? The cinema is probably a common phrase or terminology that people use. But yeah, you know what? I'm not being picky with the specifics of these words. Like I said, we could argue all day about this, that, or whatever and what they're actually called and whatnot, but for this challenge, I'm just having fun. It's the movies. That's what I've built. And I had a lot of fun with it, I'm not gonna lie. There are some things that I'm like, this is weird, like I've never done something like this before, never tried something like this before, and I think that's what I love about this challenge, is I just get to do such different weird things that I don't think I'd normally ever do. I mean, I've seen people do, like, let's say, like, take the movies, for example, building a cinema or theatre that is so drastically different to the norm. Like, Carrie and Connie made one out of, like, a popcorn bucket and a drink thing. What do you call it? A cup, a drink cup. And, you know, it's stuff like that. Like, if you wanted to do something like that for this challenge, you absolutely could. And that's the brilliance of this challenge, is it's just something that's so drastically different. I mean, it doesn't have to be drastically different. If you want to pick something that is a bit more normal, traditional, I guess. Traditional is not the word I'm looking for, but, you know, if you wanted to build a house for the letter H, you know, you absolutely could. There's nothing stopping you, and I'm not gonna, like I said, there is only one rule, no CC. What you build is completely up to you, but the point of the challenge is to challenge yourself, is to do something different and fun and unique, and I don't think I've done a cinema before, a movie theatre before. I don't think I've ever really approached something like this, and that's what I love about this challenge, and I speak about it every time I talk about this challenge, is it's just something that's so unique and different, and, you know, there are some letters in there that you're like, I can't even think of anything. Let me tell you, the letter E kills me every time. You wouldn't think it, but it does. I just, there are some things that you're like, what do you even do for the letter E? I mean, I've done an excavation site before, I've done an electrician's workshop, and I think, what was the other one I did? I've done 3 things. Could not tell you what I did, which is, fantastic. That's gonna bother me all day. But yeah, again, E, you just, like, how do you, an exhibition center, that's what I did. But, like, how do you come up with ideas for these things? They're so difficult, and that's why I think theming it for next year, which is something I'm thinking about doing, is probably going to be a little bit easier for me. It's probably going to be a little bit better because I can be like, okay, I can base it off this movie or this TV show or this or that or whatever. But yeah, like having a set theme might actually be easier for me. It might actually mean that I can pick something that's a little bit more like, okay, I'm building this or that or whatever. But yeah, some of these builds are just so hard. Like, you would think, okay, X is definitely something that's hard, and yeah, some of the ending letters are definitely hard, but yeah, E, it's one that's really surprised me. I still don't understand why it's so hard, and I Google these things, buildings starting with the letter E, and there's barely anything there. You know, some of these letters have lists that you could just do this. You could do this challenge for like 50 years and always come up with a new idea. But there are some of them that are like, yeah, you've got one choice, one build, that's it. That's it. There's no other thing that you can do. So yeah, definitely a curious and interesting challenge. And yeah, like I said, the whole point of it is to do something new and different and unique and just getting outside your comfort zone. Because I know some people don't really do that. They don't really build outside their comfort zone, and this is a great chance to do that. I am one of those people. I'm just, yeah, straight up putting up my hand now. I am definitely one of those people who don't know how to build outside their comfort zone, and yeah, this challenge has definitely been very helpful at achieving that, because I there are so many things within this list that I don't think I would have ever built before or attempted without this challenge. You know, I've done a palace before, and I would have never attempted that without this challenge. But there are other people out there who build palaces, like, basically on the daily, and they are fantastic and amazing. But yeah, like I said, I just, sometimes I'm not very adventurous with my builds, and the long and the short of it is I hope this challenge helps you get outside your comfort zone and build something that maybe you've never tried before. Yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to this challenge. Although I do always forget to say you don't have to participate in every week. It's not one of those challenges where you do have to do every single week. It's one where you do as little or as many weeks as you want. And hot tip, if you want to start now, you absolutely can start now. So that, you know, if you can only do one a week, but you know maybe every second week you're going to be too busy to do it, if you start now and you want to participate in every week, it's a great way to get ahead, I guess, and whatnot. So yeah, I have zero issue with people building ahead and whatnot. And yeah, like I said, you don't have to do every week if that's too much for you, or you don't have time for it, or you can't think of ideas, or you just want to do one. That's absolutely fine with me. I have zero issue with that, and it's really all about you and what you want to do and how you want to challenge yourself. So, you know, that's entirely up to you. But yeah, the other series I've got going on at the moment that I did briefly mention before is the Pokemon Build series. So if you have not heard of that, it is a series in which I create a build for every single Pokemon that exists. It's going to be a very, very long challenge. Don't get me wrong, like, I'm fully aware of that. It's something that's going to take me from now until I believe 2028 was the last thing I calculated, which is a fair bit away. That is a lot of Pokemon, a lot of builds, a lot of things to do. So the long and the short of it is I'm going to be here forever doing these builds, and I think it's another thing that challenges me, because some of these Pokemon I look at, I'm like, oh yeah, easy, done. That's this, that's that. Like, I'm going to build this and that and whatever for it. But other ones, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know if it's going to be this or that or whatever, and it is a challenge. But even some of the ideas that I do come up with are extremely difficult to execute in my mind, not because the builds are difficult, but because these are things I've never approached before, I've never tried before, I don't feel comfortable in. Like, it's just things that, yeah, I'm not really sure of, and I don't know, it's it's a very interesting challenge to get in and try new, fun, different, weird, wacky things. There are some builds that I've done that I'm like, really? Like, that's I didn't think I was capable of that. And it's been very, I almost want to say freeing to get in and do these builds and realize that I am actually kind of capable within myself within these builds. I wouldn't think that I would have been able to execute such builds in the way that I did, but I did, and I'm really happy with that. Like, I'm very proud of myself. So yeah, if you are someone who does doubt your own build abilities, I would definitely recommend finding some sort of challenge, whether it be the A to Z challenge or something that you create for yourself. Just go in and be like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna try that, and have fun with it. It's seriously the most freeing thing I could have done with my builds. I also do find that with a lot of my builds, I get very overwhelmed. I get very confused, and just like I feel very, very pressured and over the top with a lot of things. But this one is both of these, this challenge and this series, are something that I'm like, you know what, like at the end of the day, they're really helping me come up with ideas and build outside the box and whatnot, and I'm honestly having the time of my life with it. Like, it's something that I didn't know that I could have this much fun with. Before I had this challenge, this A to Z challenge, I was kind of struggling with coming up with ideas and sticking to them, I guess, and understanding them and appreciating them, and working my way through a series of builds and whatnot. And then, when I went back to my normal build schedule, I did have some new fun ideas to try and build with, but then I'd start to run out of ideas again. And, when I increased the number of builds I was doing, it became worse, and it was like, I really don't know what I'm doing, and I'm really struggling with this. But then I started to come up with ideas for this challenge, and it was just like idea after idea after idea. For the series, the Pokemon series, it was just, a list of a ton of ideas with specific inspiration. And the best bit is, if I look at a Pokemon and I don't get an idea from the Pokemon itself, like looking at it and going, oh, it reminds me of this, I just start to read a bit about it and I figure something out. I did the Nidorino, Nidoqueen evolutionary line. That was the last 3 Pokemon that I did. And the next 3 that I'll be doing in March will be the Nidoran, Nidorino, Nidoking evolutionary line. And for those, I was like, what do I build? Like, that's so, like, I don't know what to do. Like, they're all so similar, and I don't want to do similar type builds for them. But then I started to read about them, and I was like, you know what? I get it. Like, okay, I've got some ideas here. And I wanted to kind of lean into feminine builds for the female line, and I want to lean into more masculine builds for the male line. And not to say that, like, these are male-oriented, female-oriented builds, but, I wanted to pick... Okay, I'll be honest, I didn't necessarily lean into that for the first build, because I didn't realize that until I wanted to do that until I got to the second one. So the second 2 are family homes. And again, that's not to say that if you're a man, you can't be family oriented. It is basically just saying that to be softer and more caregiving are feminine traits. And if you're a dude and you have them, that does not make you not a dude. That just makes you somebody who cares about their family. And that is a big thumbs up from me to care about your family. But anyway, the builds that I'm going to be doing for the masculine line, I don't think the first one is going to be masculine, because I already came up with an idea and I want to lean into that. But the second 2, I think I can make a bit more masculine traits, like harsher lines, not bolder colours, but like harsher, darker colours, I guess. We'll see. I'm still not sure if I'm going to absolutely lean into that or not, but it is definitely something that I am taking into consideration for those builds when I get there. But before I get to those builds, I need to finish these builds, because I'm not going to lie to you guys, I'm recording this the day that this is going due, and I have not started on any of the other builds, which is the worst I've ever done for this challenge. Most of these challenges, like, I would have been 3/4 of the way through before I get to the point where I have no more builds, but here we are. So yeah, today I'm definitely going to be working on tomorrow's build, and I already know what it's going to be. I already have a good idea of what it's going to look like, and I feel pretty confident in getting it done in a shorter period than what some of my other builds have been, which means I will also be able to start on the next one. Not necessarily finish it today, but, you know, start on it. And yeah, that'll be good to kind of get a head start on that build. Like, not tomorrow's, but the one after that. Because I've figured out if I do a build and a half a day, I'll be fine. Basically, I'll be fine. But, you know, we've actually got to get to that point where I do a build and a half a day, but today we're starting. There's also a potential that I'm going to be streaming it, so, you know, if you guys wanna see me build live, and if you wanna have feedback on the builds that I do, definitely check out my Twitch, which will be linked down below. And yeah, if you guys want to have like feedback in the type of builds that I do and whatnot, definitely check it out, because yeah, I do live stream my builds and I have a lot of fun with it. I do thoroughly enjoy sharing my builds with you guys and getting that feedback, and it is good, because sometimes I do get stuck and I'm not sure, or I'm building something that I'm not experienced in or know anything about, and then yeah, I can be like, hey, people who I know have built this before, people who live in areas where this exists, like, please help. And I can get that help, and it's beautiful and fantastic. So yeah, long story short, if you want to see me live stream these builds, the link is down below. I do mostly Sims building, and when I'm not Sims building, we either do co-working or we do I can't think of what the other thing's called. Variety games, that's what it's called. So I'll occasionally play some other games, but mostly I do Sims building, which is, yeah, my favourite thing to do, really. Other times I will work on, like I said, playing other games and whatnot, but it's very much mostly Sims building. It's my favourite thing to do. Why would I do anything different if it works and I enjoy doing it? But the one thing I'm hoping is that my neighbours, they've been painting their roof for 2 days, yesterday and today, and I'm just hoping that they're finished, because they've been yesterday and today they started at 7:30 in the morning and they went until like 5:30 at night. Last night they went to about then. But the roof isn't that big. It's a average sized single story home, so, you know, hopefully they're finished. I did have a peek out just before I started recording this video to check to see if they were going to maybe start up while I was in the middle of chatting, and I didn't see anyone on the roof, but there's still paint everywhere, like paint drop cloths and things like that. So I don't know if they're done. I don't know if they're doing a second coat. I don't know if they're waiting for it to dry. I don't know if they're taking a lunch break. I don't know any of that. But I do know that it was almost maddening. I'm not gonna lie. It was very maddening. Because it was the same sound over and over again for just hours, and there was barely any break. And yeah, it was very like I said, maddening. I don't know how else to put it. Like, don't get me wrong, if you want to paint your roof, who am I to stop you? I said that about, I think yesterday, about them, because they started power washing it first. If you're going to do maintenance and housework, who am I to stop you? But the thing is, oh my goodness, I was going to cry with the hours of the same noise over and over again, and no difference, no change, no break from it. It was, oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm not one for surviving very frustrating noises and work like that. But the house looks good. The roof looks good. You know, definitely thumbs up to that. Just, yeah, like I said, I was going insane. I had to put the noise cancelling on my headphones. I had to turn that on. And I'm someone who gets dizzy by that. I don't know about anyone else who uses soundproof headphones, but I get extremely dizzy by that feeling, especially if there is no audio coming through. It makes me extremely dizzy, and I just had to put up with it for basically all of yesterday and a few hours this morning. Like I said, it's kind of, I guess, lunch break time. Yeah, definitely lunch break time for the people. So hopefully they're done. It's also kind of not a very nice temperature out. It's still summer here. So yeah, I'm just hoping that they are done. Because it's infuriating and maddening to listen to that over and over again, but also B, because what was I saying? I'm sorry, I got distracted by the fact the video wasn't moving, and I was panicking that it wasn't moving. Hope it's done because it's maddening to listen to, but also hope it's done because it's also not something particularly enjoyable for the people who are working out in the sun. I've talked about this before in other videos, but the sun in Australia is no joke. In fact, I have a personal Instagram, but I also have an Instagram for Sims, and on the Sims one, I get 3 categories of videos: Sim stuff, cat stuff, which is also the same for my personal one, but also Australian related things, which I don't know how I got there, but we're there. And most of it is Americans coming to Australia talking about the realities of Australia. And majority of those videos are people saying, do not bring your own sunscreen, it's not going to be enough. Buy sunscreen in Australia. Just buy sunscreen in Australia. Because, no joke, our sun is intense and insane. And the sunburns are just the worst here. That's not to say people can't get sunburn in other countries, but as somebody who has experienced Australian sunburns, 0 out of 10, negative 0, negative 0, negative 10,000 out of 10. Absolutely would not recommend it. It's horrible. It's terrible. It's not at all nice. And that's the best way I can put it, is it's just, you do not want to get sunburned here. It is horrendous. Because we have this little hole in the ozone layer. I've seen things saying it's getting better. I've seen things saying it's getting worse. I don't know the honest truth about how it's going. I don't even know if it is going or staying or what. But the long and the short of it is, the sun here is intense, and because of the fact that, we do have that hole in the ozone, the heat gets to us a lot better. I say better, it gets to us a lot worse. Which means, it does get stinking hot over here. But the other thing is, because we're close to the bottom of the globe, we do get these Arctic winds in winter, which means it gets really, really cold here, and people don't realise that that's a thing that exists, that, it gets really, really, really cold here. And I've talked about this before in a couple of videos too, and I've talked about how our houses are not insulated for either, because I don't know, it's just not. So if you're ever visiting Australia and you are staying in a hotel, you'll be fine, but if you are staying at a friend's house, just be prepared for immense amounts of either sweating or freezing. That's pretty much it. I mean, if you come in spring or autumn, fall for you Americans, but if you come in either of those seasons, I think it'll be a lot more manageable, a lot easier, it'll be a lot more comfortable, but also, our weather is kind of just all over the place. You'll never know what to expect. It's always up to something. It's always up to something. And that's I don't know how we got into that topic. Anyway, I'm also not gonna lie to you guys, the food section that I've been working on, there is a little part of it where I just put down random foods and I said I'd come back and fix it while I was on stream. I never go back and fix it, not even when I go take screenshots and record the reels and stuff like that, because honestly I didn't notice it until right at the very end. And yeah, I just wasn't bothered, to be perfectly candid with you guys. I was not bothered at all. So I don't fix that up. But I also don't upload these builds, so I don't really think that's much of an issue. But yeah, if you really did want to download these builds, definitely let me know down below, and I can see what I'll see what I can do about uploading them. But because they have CC, I don't see the point in doing that. I don't see the point in uploading them, because yeah, like I said, not a lot of people use CC, not a lot of people use, or can use CC, and not a lot of people want to, so yeah, I just don't worry about uploading CC builds all that often. Not to say I don't. There are some out there that I've done that I have uploaded, but yeah, this series is currently not one of them. But if even one person says, can you upload this one build, I'll probably go and upload them all. So yeah, it's, if you want the builds, they probably will be there at some point. It's just, yeah, I forget to upload my actual builds sometimes. I say my actual builds, my non-CC builds sometimes. So, you know, it's, I'm forgetful. That's, yeah, let's just put it that way. I'm very forgetful. So sometimes when I upload a bunch of builds all at once, I go and have a look at the gallery, and I'm like, oh, I've kind of flooded the gallery with my builds. That's not what I wanted to do. Absolutely not what I wanted to do. So I'm trying to be better with uploading my builds, but yeah, like I said, with the A to Z challenge builds, I haven't touched them at all. I have not uploaded them at all, and I don't know if I will. But the Pokemon build series ones, I definitely will. And you know what? I'm so excited for that challenge. It's not a challenge, that series. I created a whole spreadsheet for it, just to keep track of everything. And Gen 1, I think it said I was already 20% of the way through, which is so exciting. Yeah, 20.5% of the way through the build, and 3% of the way through the entire series, which, do you know how exciting that is for me? I love statistics. I love looking at statistics. In fact, I know that I'm up to, I think it's 48% of the way through this challenge. I love looking at stuff like that. And something I talked about in a previous video, for the Pokemon build series, I think I'm going to be recording all of the packs and stuff that I use. I already kind of do that by, if you look in the description of those videos, the packs that I use are down there. But I don't currently record them on a spreadsheet yet, so I think I'm going to go in and start recording them so that when I get to the end, I can see how many, like, packs and kits I use, what packs and kits I used, which ones were seen more frequently. Was there, like, if there's a specific type, does the water type, is it more likely to use Island Living, or are we going to find that it's something completely weird and different? So yeah, that's basically what I want to do. I know it's going to take some time, but that is a later me problem, because current me problem is getting these builds done. And so eventually I will get to the point where, yes, I will share that data with you guys, and I'll have a little in-depth deep dive with it, and I love that. I love looking at stuff like that. Even though statistics was one of the courses at uni that I hated doing, I still love looking at it all. So yeah, the long and the short of it is, I'm very keen to have a look at that stuff and share it. And the annoying thing is, I know how to statistically analyze things, and okay, a lot of people know how to statistically analyze things, but I'm talking like from a scientific study point of view. There are programs out there that you might use at uni for statistical analysis, or you might use at work or whatever, and yeah, I know how to read them, and I know how to use them to a degree. I'm not gonna lie, there are some things that I've completely forgotten and I do not care to learn again, but yeah, the fact that I know I could download any of these and just be like, oh yeah, cool, blah blah blah, and use them, I don't want to do that. Do not want to do that at all. I'm just going to be using spreadsheets for that, because I don't need to do the in-depth detailed analysis. I mean, if you want to and you like doing stuff like that, go nuts, go crazy. But I am just going to do some very basic level percentages, essentially. I don't want to do the anything too in depth. I mean, I already said that I'm probably going to be doing an analysis on the types and what packs, which is already bigger than what percentage of packs have I used. Like, I already know what percentage of worlds that I've used and lot sizes, but beyond that, yeah, I don't have more details than that, but I've already suggested that I might do more statistical analysis like that. And I just, why do I do these things to myself? Like, don't get me wrong, I love statistics, I want to know, I want to be able to read them and understand them and know more stuff. And it's knowing stuff about me, like, what do I like building with? What do I use more? I want to know these things. But at the same time, that means doing a lot of statistical analysis, and I don't like doing the analysis, I just like looking at the stats. So yeah, long story short, I'm gonna be diving headfirst into statistics. Like, okay, when James Turner does his statistical analysis stuff on, like, people's reactions to packs and, like, what's their favorite packs and how many packs does everyone have, he gets a lot of responses from that, and I love looking at the statistics of it. I mean, I wouldn't even mind organizing the statistics of it, but to do the analysis, I don't want to do that. I don't want to... I just don't want to... I just want to either set it up or look at it. I don't want to do the bit in the middle where I have to actually understand how to get from this or that and pull out all the data and stuff like that. I did not enjoy doing that for my degree. It really was not something I enjoyed. But thankfully, I did not do it on my own, because, yeah, the people I would study with who did the same degree as me, we would have a look at these things together and work on them together, so that we weren't exactly on our own, and we could kind of, the bits and pieces that I got confused with or they got confused with, we could kind of help each other through it. But this is kind of me doing it on my own after a couple of years of not studying any statistical courses, so might be a little bit different, might be a little bit more difficult to do it on my own, and a bit confusing, I guess. But at the end of the day, I'll figure it out. And I say that, but when I first started doing the, like, what percentage of the way through the Pokemon build series am I had it, I don't even know how I did this, but I had it so that it was showing 10% smaller, 100% smaller, I don't know. Basically, instead of being 3%, it was 0.3%. And actually, I think it was 0.3%. And I honestly don't know how I did that, because I don't even understand how I got to that percentage. Like, I didn't even use a correct formula. Or if I did, I don't know what I did. I can't even remember if I used a correct formula or not. I have the correct formula now, but yeah, back then, I don't know. And I was talking about, like, I'm 0.2% of the way through the challenge, and I know 2.2% is not a lot, but and I'm like, no, you're 2% of the way through the challenge. That is way better. That makes me feel way better about this whole challenge, because I can see that progress is happening a lot faster. Like, I would have been at 10% when I was supposed to be at 100%. And yeah, no, I'm moving much quicker than that, which is a lot better, because yeah, at some point, seeing the fact that it changed by 0.1% or even 0.01% was very disheartening. But now seeing the fact that change is actually, it's still 0.1%, but it's, instead of being 0.1% after doing a huge list of things, it's 0.1% after doing one tiny little list of things. So much better. So much better. So much more motivational. And yeah, I'm just very keen and excited to get in and get all these builds done. I'm itching to start working on the video that's going to be coming out on the 1st of March, but I need to work on these builds first. So that is the goal. Just work on one thing at a time, essentially. I don't need to stress myself out, because I do that too often. If you guys have been around for any length of time, you guys know that I will sit here and just be like, I need to do this, 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 and this, and then stress myself out because nothing's getting done, because I'm stressing out over the fact that I need to do all these things instead of just doing these things. So, you know, it's something I'm definitely still working on, but I have talked about this before. I am kind of working on the concept of you are allowed to have a current task and you are allowed to have a coming up task. That's it. You can only have those two tasks. It's what you're doing now, what you plan on doing next. Like for me, I have the plan of finishing this video and setting it to render. I know that sounds like two things, but it's the process of, okay, finishing this video, preparing it for upload. Actually that's a good way of putting it. My current goal is preparing this video for upload, and then I'm going to have something to eat. That is my current and to do next list. So, you know, I know I could list off, okay, then I've got to upload the video, and then I've got to prepare for stream, and then I've got to build this, and then I've got to try and build that as well, and edit this video, and no, you're going to stress yourself out. What you are going to do is finish this video, and then you are going to eat. And while you eat, you're allowed to pick your next thing from the to-do list. But until you get there, you are not allowed to move. You are not allowed to do a single thing. You are not allowed to, you know, pick anything else that you're going to do. You are simply doing one thing at a time. And that is it. That is the rules, and that is what you're going to do. And no arguing with that. And I found it to be very, very, very helpful. You know, I can feel it in the back of my head. I'm making a list, but I'm ignoring it. I'm ignoring that list, and I'm doing what I want. You know, I'm allowed to think about things that I want to do. I'm allowed to go, well, okay, do I need to wash my hair? Which I don't, but that's an example of, like, as an example of something that I might want to do at some point. And it's okay. I find it's okay to ask myself those questions, because, you know, maybe when I finish this video, maybe I actually want to go wash my hair, and then I'll go eat. But I know I don't. So, okay, cool. We can remove that from the list. And I like doing stuff like that because it removes the list of things that I have to do. It makes it smaller. It makes it much more manageable to, like, think of, okay, I have a bajillion things to do, but in reality, I don't. I have two things to do. So, yeah, I don't know. Let me know down below, when you guys get stressed, what's the way you manage that stress, and how do you get from stress to productivity? I know not everybody has that sorted, and I know not everybody gets stressed, and I know not everybody knows what makes them productive, but I do love to know these things because I go through cycles of some things work, some things don't. Sometimes creating a list and working my way through it absolutely works, but sometimes creating that list makes me super stressed. I have a notebook where I write down the things I want to get done in a day, and I know that when I'm stressed, that list becomes huge and unmanageable, but when I'm not stressed, it becomes a lot more manageable, even if the list is longer. So I know that when I'm stressed, I'm not allowed to use that list, and when I'm not stressed, I am. So, you know, I find a lot of these things interesting. It's working with new different ways of let me try that from the beginning again, in English preferably. It's a way of working through what you're currently dealing with. So yeah, when I'm stressed, I work this way, and when I'm not stressed, I work that way, and I think, yeah, having an understanding of how I work in those different aspects is extremely handy, because yeah, sometimes you just feel so overwhelmed with X, Y, and Z, but being able to take a step back and be like, you know what? No, this is how we're going to do it today, this is how we're going to work, this is how we're going to figure it out, is, yeah, a lot more manageable than just panic, stress, and not knowing what to do. But yeah, we are getting close to the end of this build. I didn't think that this build was going to be this long. When I had a look at the raw footage, I think it was just over 4 hours being uncut. And then when I did my first rounds of rough cuts, it got to just under 3.5 hours, I think it was. I think it was like 3 hours and 57 minutes or something stupidly small. Like, just, yeah, look, basically, it was about an hour long this video was going to be. And no matter how much I cut out, I only managed to get it from an hour to 59 minutes. But I also do recognize there are some parts where I kind of sped through and edited this the wrong way. I have a set editing way that I typically do. So what I start off with is, like I said, I put the videos in, I do really, really rough cuts, and that helps me know how specific I need to be with the rest of the editing. I'm still pretty specific with it, but it helps me with time management as well to know that. So what I will do is, because a lot of these builds are streamed, I will go in and I will just cut out all of the stream related sections of the video. So if there's a section where I've been raided and I've moved to my raiding screen and I'm just chatting with the people and whatnot, or if I'm on my just chatting screen or starting soon screen or ending soon screen or be back, basically all of the screens that are not Sims building, I just get rid of them all. I cut them out. It's very, very rough. I don't pay too much attention to if there's a giant gap before that or after that. It's basically as soon as that screen pops up to the moment it disappears, I get rid of those. And then I'll go through and yeah, I basically go through all of it and get rid of all of those sections. And then when we get to the end of that, I can see how much footage we have left. And if it is over, with the way I currently edit, if it's over 4 hours, I know I need to cut some stuff out. And if it is under 4 hours, then I know I'm safe. It'll keep me under an hour within the video, and that is a-okay. I like being under an hour. I'll be honest with you guys, 45 minutes is probably my happy zone. I like to be 45 minutes for these builds and probably 25 for the Pokemon build series videos. That's generally where I like to be in terms of the length of the video, but I know that sometimes I go over or under. Over for these, under sometimes for the Pokemon build videos. But yeah, then I will go through and I'll cut out all of the, well, I will try to cut out all of the big pauses, which if you were watching earlier, there was a giant pause that I clearly missed. And that's because I was accidentally too zoomed out and I just zoomed straight over it, but not the point. The point being, yeah, I'll cut out all of the gaps. I will cut out, sometimes when I'm searching things in the game, trying to find certain items, my game will take forever to scan through all the items to find the things that are called that. If you go in and you type in plant, it will come up with all of the items that have plant within the name. And so yeah, I cut out those big pauses because sometimes they can be like 30 seconds long. And while 30 seconds sped up might not feel like a lot, it's still noticeable, and I'm not a huge fan of that. Sometimes I will pause and just look at what I've done to kind of evaluate it and be like, do I like this, do I not? And again, if it's over a certain amount of time, I will cut it out. It used to be, if it was over 5 seconds, I think it was, I would cut it out, because 5 seconds would equate to 1 second in-game, and even though 1 second in-game is not very long, and before you blink it's over and done with, I've changed it to 2 seconds. If it's over 2 seconds, I will cut it out. I still sometimes will leave it up to 5 seconds. It really depends on how much I need to cut out. If I'm being super strict, it's 2 seconds. If I'm being a bit more lax, yeah, it's about 5 seconds still. So yeah, the editing that I'm doing is a bit more strict compared to last couple of years. Sometimes with the editing I would just, like that, whatever I did was whatever I did. I'd cut out the end screen, starting soon screen, and then I would just speed it up, and that was it. And even before I was streaming, I would just speed up the video, and that was it. I wouldn't go through and cut things out. So I definitely feel like I've made a lot of progress in terms of build ability and editing ability. I mean, build ability too. I feel like I've made some minor improvements within my building. I say minor, some of the builds I used to do I absolutely hated, and now I don't look at a build and immediately feel like it's trash, so I would say that's significance. Not to say that I'm going to sit here and hype every one of my builds. I still think I do trash builds from time to time, but they are less frequent than what I'm used to. So yeah, I would say that's improvement. And I'm getting some feedback from you guys saying that you really enjoy my builds and you think I'm doing pretty well with them. So I'm gonna take you guys at your word. That's, look, I'm harsh on myself. I know I'm harsh on myself, and I know a lot of people are also harsh on themselves. I sometimes see people who do builds and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you are fantastic and amazing. How do you think you're not good at this? That is absolutely insane. So, you know, just understand that you guys are good builders and that we're all harsh against ourselves. So yeah, definitely don't take it too harshly. Definitely don't take it too hard on yourself if you are someone who thinks that you're not a good builder, when in reality you probably are a pretty decent builder. You know, most people I know are really good at building and just don't believe in themselves, and I'm definitely one of them. I'm definitely one of those people who are not very supportive of myself in my builds, and I think we all should stop that. I think we should all be a little bit more self-lovey and self-care in terms of build ability. Even Cass, no matter what you do, I think we're all more capable than what we think we are. So yeah, definitely trying to be more positive with my builds, and that's why I'm admitting, yeah, I can be better. There's less trash builds. That is me working towards accepting that I maybe could be a good builder, maybe. But anyway, we are getting pretty much close to the end of this video. I don't think I even do any landscaping for this build at all. I don't think it even needs any landscaping. It's sort of a urban build, I guess. It's supposed to be in the middle of a city, where, yeah, there's not really much landscaping needed. So yeah, we're pretty much at the end of the video. If you enjoyed it and you want to see more stuff like this, or to listen to me ramble and rant about random things, definitely make sure to hit subscribe. I come out with a new video every single day except the last 2 days of February. But until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.